Let's do some algebra help board. There's a lot of problems, so I probably won't get through them all, but I'll do my best to get as many answered as I can. So we're going to start with lesson 97, number 1. So that one says, more were talented than not, twice the number of talented. So this is number 1. Twice the number of talented exceeded 3 times the number of untalented by 12. That's the first equation. The second equation is also 4 times the number of untalented was 48 less than 3 times the number of talented. Okay, this is a setup. I solved it on my paper, but I think you guys can solve it from here. What I did was I took 2t minus 3u equals 12, and then we did negative 3t plus 4u equals negative 48. And I multiplied this one by a 3, this one by a 2, and when I did that, I had them add out, and we got negative u equals negative 60. U, the untalented, was 60, and the talented was 96. All right, one down. The next one was number 3. Let's move that up a little bit. Number 3 was the volume was held constant. So we do our V1 P1 over T1 equals V2, this is number 3, V2 P2 over T2. It says that the volume was held constant. You don't have to put the 7.4 liters in, you can just cross it out. The tricky part here is you have to add, it tells you to add 273 onto the temperature. So the temperature T1 is 227, and we need to add onto it 273. So we are going to get 500. So we just plug in our numbers. P1 is 10, T1 is 500, P2 is 30, T2 is what we don't know. We just cross multiply, so we get 10 T2 equals 1500. And then we end up with, let's see, 15,000. So we end up with T2 is 1500 kelvins because we had to convert. All right, number 3. Number 5. Number 5 was cheers vary jointly. So cheers, so we're going to have our constant proportionality if you're going to do it this way. Vary jointly as fans. And the square of the jubilation factor. So you're just going to basically plug everything in. We have 1,000 cheers. We don't know what K is. F is 100. The jubilation factor is 4. We solve that for K. We get a really odd number. It's 0.625. And then we go back in and we figure out the cheers is going to be the K, which is 0.625. times the new number of fans, which is 10, and the new jubilation factor, which is 20. And you put that all in your calculator, and your cheers is 2,500. Now you can do that with ratios too. All right, number 1, 3, 5, 13. 13 is graph the numbers. This graph on a number line. 4 is not greater than x plus 3 less than 7. Our domain is integers. First thing you want to do is flip this and not equal it. Do the total opposite. X plus 3 is less than 7. Subtract 3 from all of those, so you get 1 is less than or equal to x is less than 4. It's integers, so we're going to have a dot on 1, a dot on 2, a dot on 3, but not a dot on 4 because it's less than, not less than, and equal to. All right, moving right along. 27. This one was a little tricky. We have a square inside of a circle. At least I have a little bit of tools here. All right, so it tells you that the area of the circle. So area of a circle is pi r squared. The area is 49 pi equals pi r squared. The pi's cross out. So the radius of the circle is 7. And we can put that right in here. This is going to be 7. We know that this is going to be 7 as well because the radius of the circle. This is going to be 45-degree angle because if you know anything about squares, when diagonals bisect to form right angles. So you can just do, we want the area of the square. So we could say 7 squared plus 7 squared equals the side squared, right? And the side squared is actually the area. So 49 and 49 would be 98 equals the side squared. And that's what we want. If this is a side, this is the side. The area of a square is side squared. So we can just stop right here and say 98 centimeters squared. A little tricky. That one was hard. Okay, onward. We are already on next lesson. Lesson 98. So we're going to start with A. And I'm only going to do one of these, even though people have asked for that for more than one. So I'll try to be thorough on my first one. I did absolutely everything in my calculator. 1/8 of the way from 3 1/2 to 5 1/6. So if you put it on a number line, just do the first one on I'm only doing one. So we have 3 1/2. So here's 3 1/2. And we're over here is 5 1/6. We want to find 1/8 of the way. So if this is half, this is a fourth, right? And so right here would be an eighth. So we're going to try to find that number right there. So in your calculator, I turn mine into an improper fraction. So we have 31/6. I'm just finding the distance between these. So that's going to be 7/2. And when we pop that in the calculator, I'm not sure if I wrote this all down or if I just did it all in my calculator. I wrote it down. So we got 5/3 when we subtracted those and reduced it. Your calculator does all of that. Use the button that has the A, B, C kind of thing. If you push it, if you do second that, it turns it into an improper number again. So I just put all that in. I got 5/3. So that's the distance between these two points basically. So then I'm going to take it, I'm going to find 1/8 of that distance. So we get 5 over 24. And then this is 1/8 of the distance, so I have to add it back onto this. So we're adding 1/8 of the distance onto the first number. So 7/2 minus 5 and 5 over 24. I did my calculator again. Oh, I added it on. And we get 89. It's not a very satisfying answer over 24, and you can leave it improper. So one of those. Okay, number 2. Number 2, a mixture problem. There's 2 mixture problems. They're both different, so I'm going to be doing both of them. So you have you want to get a 15% alcohol solution. You're going to add a 10% solution with a 60% solution. We don't know how much is in either bucket, but we know that they add up to be 600. We want 600 of the 15%. So this is a 2-equation one. I'm just going to set up the equations. I'm not going to solve it. So we get that, x plus y, the top row, and then you take the 10 times the top row, the 60 times the top row, and the 15 times the 600. And then you just solve this by elimination. And that is that. All right, number 4. 4 is, I did one of these for you. Distance downstream equals the boat plus the water, because it's going to be pushing it, times the time downstream. Time downstream. Distance upstream equals the boat and the water's pushing away, so that it's going to go slower, times the time upstream. They give you all the information. Well, they give you all but 2 variables. So downstream was 28. We don't know the speed of the boat. We don't need the speed of the water, but we know the time downstream was 4. Distance upstream was 40. We don't know the boat and the water again. So equals the boat minus the water. Time upstream was 8. And then you're just going to distribute it through. 28 equals 4 boat plus 4 water. And this is going to be 40 equals 8 boat minus 8 water. I'm not going to solve this, but what I'd probably do is divide everything by 4 and do 7 equals boat plus water. Divide everything by 8 and we get 5 equals boat minus water. Oh gee, I could almost solve it here. So we're going to get 12 equals to the boat. The boat is going to be 6 miles per hour or whatever it's in. And then you can just go back up into one of these equations and you're going to see that water is 1 mile per hour. Wasn't planning on doing that, but I did. Okay, 1. All right, now we are jumping. Number 6, I decided we weren't doing because it's the find the number that's halfway between. So you would subtract the 2 endpoints and then figure out a half of it and add it on to the first number. All right, number 10. Okay, number 10. So we have x squared plus y squared equals 16. And we get 2x squared minus y squared equals -4. These you can just add together. The y squareds cross out. You get 3x squared equals 12. X squared equals 4. And we get x equals plus or minus 2. You have to go back and get the y. So we're going to put the 2 in for the x. So we're going to get 4 plus y squared equals 16. Y squared equals 12. Y equals... Good thing about this is you can rewatch it if you want. It's going to be the square root of 12, which would be 4 times 3, so it'd be 2 root 3. It's going to be plus or minus. If you put the -2 in, you're going to get the same thing because when you square a negative, it's going to give you the exact same thing. So your answers are going to be 2. If you put a 2 in, you get plus or minus 2 root 3. If you put the -2 in, you're also going to get plus or minus 2 root 3. And that's 4 points where they intersect. How about that? Circle and a hyperbola. All right, number 12. So graph y. I just did one of these on the SAT. Yep, first time I've mentioned it so far today. All right, this has to be in slope-intercept form, so I'm going to solve it for, I did it really quick here. I subtracted the x and divided by 2. Then we're going to graph it in color. Yx. So the slope, this I should have done this -1/2 x. So the y-intercept is 2. And the slope is down 1 over 2. So we got that. Down 1 over 2. It's a dotted line because it's not and equal to. Y is greater than 1 is just a horizontal line. Going across y is 1, like, whoops, I kind of missed, but let's see, I can do better than that. So, here we go. All right, and it's, oops, I forgot to color the first one. The first one is greater than, so it's going to be colored above the dotted line. And y is greater than, it's going to be colored to, let's see, it's y is greater than, so it's going to be colored above this. It's a little messy there, but the part that's colored in is going to be from y, it's going to be all of this right in here. It's all colored in. That's where it overlaps. Right, onward. Next one is, that was 12. All right, we have 14. 14 is one of these funky ones. We have a lot of questions on these. I don't know how else to explain them. I do them over and over each week. Maybe it's just being careful. Maybe you don't understand how exponents work. It's confusing to me why we don't get these. So it's x over a over 2. Okay, all the bases are x's, which means we can combine them all. First one, we're going to do x, we're going to just multiply power to power, so it's going to be 2a over 3. We're going to add, all the bases are the same, so I'm going to add that 2a right onto there, and I'm going to subtract off this a over 2 because when I bring it up, when you divide, you subtract exponents. And so when we add all our fractions, the denominator is 6, take this times 2, this times 6, this times 3, and we're going to get 8a plus 12a. Oh, they're all times 6, yeah. Oh, wait a minute, I did something wrong here, hold on. I was not thinking clearly there. All right, this times 6, and you get 2, this times 6, and this times 6, you get 3. All right, so we're going to get 4a plus 12a minus 3a. And that's going to give us 13x, forgot the x over there, to the 13a over 6. And that's the right answer. All right, and the next one I had, I missed number 20. Let's see what it is. Or maybe I decided not to do it. Oh, the resultant forces. We always have to do one of those. Okay, I didn't see that one, but I'm going to do it. 20, the resultant forces. You have, your forces are going down like this. At least I'll get it set up for you. We have one going this way. I need some feedback whether you guys like these videos or if you watch them because they take me a long time to do. So if no one's watching them, I don't know if I want to keep doing them. So we have that. This is 64 degrees. And the length of this one's 10. I was going to do them in different colors, but I didn't. All right. So let's just do this one here. This one is simply, it's not up. So it's 0 up plus 12 right. We do them the other way, don't we? 12 right plus 0 up. Okay, let me fix that. 12 right plus 0 up. Actually, I'm forgetting which way we do it. Doesn't really matter. Right and up, yeah. Okay, for this one, you do your, this is your theta. Remember this? We do x equals 10 cosine of 10 and y equals 10 sine of 10. And we put those in our calculator. This is your right and this is your up. So we do 10 times the cosine of 10, which is 9.85, right? And, we have to get, this one's going down, so it's going to be negative. That's a little tricky part. 10 times the sine of 10. Make sure you make it negative, so it's going to be negative 1.74 up. And you just add those together and you get your answer. So let me just do that. 12 plus 9.85. So we're going to get 21.85 right minus 1.74 up. Alrighty, moving on. Lesson 99. Okay, let's see if I can scroll this anymore. Lesson 99, starting with A. It's an absolute value problem. You get 2 answers with absolute value problems, so don't forget that. But we're going to graph these anyway, so this is A. Negative absolute value of x plus 3 is less than negative 2. The domain is the integers. So we're going to get the absolute value by itself, and we're going to get negative 5. Divide both sides by a negative, so we get the absolute value of x is greater than, we're flipping it, greater than 5. You're going to get 2 values. You can set it up like this. X is going to be greater than 5. Whatever's in there is greater than 5, and the absolute value of whatever is in there is greater than 5. And so your 2 inequalities are going to be x is less than 5 and x is greater than negative 5. This is actually going to be an and statement. It's going to look like, or an or statement. I did it backwards, or. Or the way you can tell is they're going to be going away from the 0, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to put 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's greater than, so we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the dots are going to be filled in like this, not including 5. It's going to start with 6, 7, 8, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, that way. It's greater than on both of those accounts. Whoops, I forgot to flip the sign on this one. Silly me. Okay. Yeah. It's less than -5, and it's... what did I do? Ooh, hold on. X is greater than 5. I flipped the wrong one. And X is less than -5. There you go. And that is the graph. Alrighty. Let's go to the next one. Next one I have is number 11. We have 3. 3 is another current boat problem. Number 9 is find the number that's 2/7 away from 2 points. 13 was messy, but Chad, I will do it for you. 3x plus 2y minus z equals 1. X plus y minus z equals -1. 5x plus 2y plus 2z equals 8. I'm going to eliminate the z's. They just look like the funnest ones to eliminate. Low numbers, opposite signs. So I'm going to take this one times a -1 and add it to the top one. So we get 3x plus 2y minus z equals 1. Choose which one you're going to eliminate, and that's what we're going to eliminate. I'm eliminating the z's. All right, see how I did that? Ta-da! All right, add those all together, and we get 2x plus y equals 2. All right, now I'm actually going to take these two, and I'm going to multiply the second one by 2. Multiply this one by 2. So 2x plus 2y minus 2z equals -2. Wow. And then I'm going to add it to the bottom one. 5x plus 2z plus 2z equals 1. 8. All right, add those together. 7x plus, what's this? This is supposed to be a y. Plus 4y equals 6. Whoops, equals 6. All right. Now, I eliminated the z's. Now I'm going to take these two, and I'm going to eliminate the y's. So I'm going to take this one times -4, and I'm going to add it to this one, -8x minus 4y equals -8. So we get -x equals -2, and we get x equals 2. And then you can go back and plug these in. Start just by putting the x in there and getting y, and then putting the y and x into one of these and get z. Alrighty, making our way through here. So that was number 13, right? 17 and 23. 17, I'm going to skip. 23 is another one of those vector problems. And I think that is it for that lesson that I'm going to do. Let's go on to lesson 100. Yay for 100. Okay, so we're going to start with 2. 2. So let me just turn to lesson 100, number 2. This is another mixture problem. I'm just going to set this up. We are evaporating, so we're going to subtract off. This one says the solution was 68% alcohol, and it came up to be to the 600 milliliter mark on the beaker. How much alcohol should be evaporated so that the remainder would only be 20%? So we're starting out with 600. We're subtracting off some amount, and so that what's going to be left is 600 minus x. Let's see, it started out at 68% alcohol. We're going to subtract off 100% alcohol. That's the tricky part. It doesn't tell you that percent, but if you're going to subtract off alcohol, and what percent of alcohol is alcohol, it's 100%. So then we're just going to take 68 times 600 minus 100 times x equals 20 times 600 minus x, and you guys can take it from there. You get x equals 360 milliliters. All right, number 4, I will set this one up, and then I'm going to walk away from it. 4 is reds vary directly, so it's a variation problem, as yellows, and inversely as the greens squared. So you're just going to plug the reds, the yellows, and the greens in, get the K, put the K back in, the new yellow, the new green, and get the red. All right, number 6 is a new problem, so I will do that one. Y equals x squared minus 6x plus 1. This is a parabola. We're going to put it in vertex form, so we need to do the completing the square. We need to get a replacement guy to make a perfect square trinomial. It bumps the 1 out. Whatever we add on here, we need to subtract off to keep the equation balanced. To find this number, we're going to take 6 divided by 2 and square it. So we're going to get 3 squared is 9. Put it on here and here. So we get y equals x minus 3 quantity squared minus 8. And we can see the vertex of our parabola is going to be 3. Remember, it's the opposite when it's in parentheses, negative 3. And if we were to graph that super quickly, we would get 3, 1, 2, 3. I always need my arrows. And 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's your vertex. It's a happy parabola because this number is positive. And the slope is 1, so I'm just going to go up 1, over 1, and put a point, up 1, over 1, and put a point. This is the y-intercept, because if x was 0, y would be 1. So it's going to be up here. It's just another point. It's symmetrical, so you have a point over here. And we would just draw this. Our axis of symmetry is x equals whatever this is, 3. That's our axis of symmetry. It's going to be totally same on both sides. All right, and the last problem of less than 100 I'm going to do is number 18. 18 is, I'm doing one of these for you, everybody. So a to the x plus 2. I sure hope everybody's watching this video. 2, and this is a to the b over 2. And this is all over a to the 2 minus b to the 1/2. This is the same thing as the last one. All the bases are the same. So we're going to get x to the a to the 2x plus 4. We're going to subtract off. We'll just make that 1/2 b on the top right here. We're not going to subtract. We're adding because these are on the top. But we're going to subtract off. Ooh, kind of skipped a step. So this one is going to be a to the 1 minus 1/2 b, right, if I distributed that through. Now, when we move this on the top, we're going to change this to negative. This is to positive. So it's going to be minus 1 plus 1/2 b. So we're going to get a. I can't even read that. That's 2x. So there's no other x's, so 2x. We have 4 minus 1 is 3. And then 1/2 b and 1/2 b is 1b, so it's going to be b. And I hope this recorded because I used Zoom to record this time because my QuickTime Player wouldn't work anymore. So I hope you enjoyed that lesson and we'll see you in class tomorrow.